Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the class now that you have your book with you. You can have colors, equivalent fractions. That is the topic. Let's continue working on page 237. So look on the book, open the book, page 237. And here we have there the picture of the page 237 where it says equivalent fractions. We're going to talk about fractions, equivalent fractions, that they have the same amount. When we say equivalent fractions, it's because they have the same amount. Remember, just as a reminder, a fraction, it has two parts. It has a numerator, that is the number that you see that it's up, and the number that is down is a denominator. Is the denominator. Now, let's use this problem. Let's investigate this problem. So let's see. We have Joe cut a pan of lasagna into third size pieces. He kept 1 out of 3 and gave the rest away. Joe will not eat his part all at once. How can he cut his part into smaller equal size pieces? So we need to help Joe to cut the part into smaller equal size pieces. So you see we have, this is the fraction, 1 out of 3. This is the fraction that we are using. So you see here in the model, this is the model, 1 out of 3. We have 1 part, the second part of the lasagna, and the third part of the lasagna. So 1 part is color. You see that this is in color blue. I see color blue here. So that 1, it means that the parts that I'm taking just this part out of the other 3. That is a numerator. Number 3 is denominator. That it means the number of parts that I'm going to divide the lasagna. I divide the lasagna into 1, 2, 3 pieces. Now, it says, but if he wants to cut the rest, so he wants to cut it smaller equal size pieces, not just in these 3. Now helped Joe to work on this. Let's see, step number 8. Draw on the model to show how Joe could cut his part on the of the lasagna into 2 equal pieces. So we're going to draw here in this model, how can he cut into small pieces, 2 equal pieces. So in part number 1, you see, we can cut it here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, here, I'm going to draw here. Okay, again, we're going to draw in this part. Here, the line. So we're going to count 4 and 4. So it's going to be the half of the first part is going to be here because it says draw on the model 2 equal pieces. So I'm drawing here the lasagna into 2 equal pieces, the first part. Also, I'm going to cut into equal pieces the second part and the third part. So I'm going to continue cutting here into 2 equal parts. No. 2 equal parts here.
I finished.
Finished? Okay, now you see how many parts do we have now in the lasagna in total?
6.
6, that's right. Now you can count that we have 6. Now let's see here. You can rename these 2 equal pieces as a fraction of the original pan of lasagna. Remember the first one, it was 1 out of 3 because we have 1, 2, and 3, and we just color 1. Now, we divide this, the original lasagna, into 6 pieces now because we're cutting in each of them into 2. Suppose that Joe had cut the original pan of the lasagna into 2 equal pieces of the side. How many pieces will be there now? You mentioned that there are 6. So let's write 6 here. 6 parts. You can count that we have now 6, not just 3. We have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What fraction of the pan is 1 piece? What fraction is 1 piece? So you see, we have of this six, we can have one piece. So let's write the fraction of the pan is one piece, because remember, of this six, we're taking one part of the three, so also it's gonna be 1 out of 6. I'm gonna write here 1 out of 6. This is 6. And then one fraction of the pan is 2 pieces. How can we know these 2 pieces? So we have 1 and 2. So we say 2 out of 6 pieces. And that is that model. Here in this model, we have 1, 2 colors. So 2 out of 6. 2 because we're coloring 2. 2 out of the 6 that we have. If we have just 1, it's 1 out of 6 of this bar. But in this case, we have 2, 1 and 2. So it's going to be 2 out of 6 of these 6. 2 is the number, numerator, the number that tells how many you are going to color. So we color 1 and 2. And 6, the number of parts that we divide the lasagna. We divide it into 6 equal pieces.
I finished.
Okay.
I
Now,
finished.
you can rename 1 out of 3, that it was our original fraction, as 2 out of 6. Let's write it down here, 2 out of 6 also, because that is the new fraction that we have, 2 out of 6. So if you say 1 out of 3 is equivalent to say 2 out of 6. You see, 1, 2, and 3. So 1 out of 3 is the same of 2 out of 6. If we divide it into 6 parts, it's the same as 1. And here we have 2, 2 out of 6. So they are equivalent fractions because they have the same amount. It's equivalent. It's equivalent to represent 1 out of 3 as 2 out of 6. Now, step number 2, or step number letter B, that it says, now draw on the model to show how Yod could cut his part of the lasagna into 4 equal pieces. So here we have the original fraction, 1 out of 3, 1, 2, 3, and just 1 is cut. But he wants to cut into 4 equal pieces, class. So using this model, let's draw now 4 equal pieces. How is gonna be? It's going to be, I'm going to draw here 1, okay, let's see, 1 and 2. Again. We're going to draw here into 4 equal parts. So it's gonna be here, yes, 4 parts. So you see we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 parts. So you can use the same color, but it says we need to draw, or we can divide the lasagna into 4 equal pieces, everything. So let's do it in everything. It's gonna be here, the 4 parts. Four equal parts. Okay, yes, we have 4 equal parts now. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 equal parts. And now how many we have in total? Before we have just 3 parts. Now, how many parts do we have in this representation? If we divide the lasagna into 4 equal parts.
6.
Okay, no, we have more.
13. 13.
13, are you sure? If you we have 13 parts now.
12. 12.
12, that's right. If you see, we have 4 in one
1
side,
million.
4 and 4. We have 12, Marcelo, no 1 million. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 parts. 12 parts we have now here. Now, it says that you can rename these 4 equal pieces for each here, and these 4 equal pieces, or these 4 equal pieces, as a fraction of the original pan of lasagna. Now, suppose that you had cut the original pan of lasagna into equal pieces of this size. How many there will be? You say 12. So let's write down here 12. Because now we have in the pan of lasagna 12 parts, equal parts in the same size, 12. What fraction of the pan is 1 piece? It's gonna be, imagine that we just color, you don't have to color, but imagine we just color 1. What it represents this? 1 out of 12. I'm just coloring 1. So it's gonna be 1 out of 12 here. 1, number 1, and down in the denominator, 12. What fraction of pan is 4 pieces? 4 pieces, it means that I'm taking 1, 2, 3, these 4. I'm taking these 4 pieces. So it represents how? 4. The answer of this is 4 out of 12. Because I'm taking 4 of the 12 parts. 4, they are in red, but I have in total 12 parts.
And the next one are 1 out of.
Okay, so you can rename 1 out of 3 as 4 out of 12 also. It's the same having 1 out of 3 as 4 out of 12. So this is also an equivalent fraction. I can have in the same side, look at this, in the same side, 4 here in this part. In 1 out of 3, I can have 4 equal parts, but divided into 2 equal parts, all the lasagna. And also into 2 equal parts out of 6. So they are equivalent fractions. What it means equivalent fractions? In letter C, there it is. Fractions that name the same amount are equivalent fractions. So these fractions, 4 out of 12, it represents the same amount of 1 out of 3. So they are equivalent fractions. So 1 equivalent fractions for 1 out of 3, it can be 2 out of 6.
And 1 out of 12.
And 4 out of 12, excellent. 2 out of 6 and 4 out of 12 is the same. Okay. Finish.
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 Okay. Questions, class, questions in this exercise.
No.
Oh. Easy. Okay, let's go to the next page.
Miss, we have to log this page to Schoology.
No, you need to show me this here so I know that you were here by it.
Okay.
All of you finished page 237?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, let's go to the next page. Hermes, did you finish, Hermes? Yes. You have a big dog. Okay, let's continue with the next, page 238. The first part, we're going to work on the second part, sorry. This is the second part, right, of page 238, or the first part. Make connections is 1/2, just the second part. So look where it says make connection in your page 238, where it says make connections. And we have another problem. We have another problem, another way to find a resolutions for equivalent fractions. Remember, equivalent fractions are fractions that they have the same amount. It represents the same amount. Now, it says Savannah has 2 out of 4 jars of ribbon, and Isabel has 3 out of 8 jars of ribbon. How can you determine whether Savannah and Isabel have the same length of ribbon? So we have a comparison here between 2 girls, Savannah and Isabel. The equal sign and not equal sign, you see here, this is not equal. Equal sign and not equal sign is the same, just that we have. It's to put another line here, like show whether fractions are equivalent. So we're going to identify if they are equivalent, if they have the same amount or not. So tell whether 2 out of 4, that is the amount for Savannah, and 3 out of 8, that is for Isabel, if they are equivalent, we're going to write equal or not equal sign. So let's follow this step. Step number 1, shade the amount of ribbon that Savannah has. So it has, here we have a line, we can use this line, we can use this model, we can use models, or we can use this like the rule that we are using. So step 1, shade. In this part, we're going to shade 2 out of 4. It says Savannah has 2 out of 4, you see? So we're going to shade or color the amount for Savannah. I have 0 out of 4, 1 out of 4, and 2 out of 4. So I'm going to color all this part. 2 out of 4. Two out of 4, because that is the fraction. 1 out of 4 and 2 out of 4. I have 3 out of 4 and 4 out of 4 that it represents, but I'm using 2 out of 4. Now, step number 2, we have to shade the amount of ribbon that Isabel has. What is the amount for Isabel? Isabel, it says, has 3 out of 8. She has 3 out of 8. So we have the same representation, but divided into 8 equal parts now. You see, I have the same rectangle here. Is the same size. The rectangle is the same size. The same size, you see? You have the same size. Start here from 0. And then here it goes to 4 out of 4, but here is 8 out of 8. But you see, it's the same size. This is divided into 8 parts. So I have 0 out of 8, 1 out of 8, 2 out of 8, 3, 4, and so on. But I'm looking just the amount for Isabel that is 3 out of 8. So let's color the part of Isabel. 1, 2, and here it's 3 out of 8. See? 3 out of 8. It's here. It's here. 3 out of 8. Now, look at this. Look at the representation. That 2 out of 4, this part is not the same amount of the 3 out of 8. Why? If you see, I have all this color. From here is the same color. I continue and I see that 3 out of 8 is not the same. Look at here. This is the side for Isabel. She has less than Savannah. If you can use your pen, your pencil, and you put the pencil in your book, you can see it here. The 3 out of 8 is less than the 2 out of 4. Or if we draw a line, you don't have to draw this line, just as a representation. See here? We have, it's less. Look at this, it's less. I have less for Isabel. It's less. So we said that 2 out of 4 and 3 out of 8, they are not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same amount. It's not the same amount of 3 out of 8. So we're going to write the not equal sign, this sign. 2 out of 4 is not equivalent of 3 out of 8. Because even though I divide number 1 into 4 parts and the second one into 8 parts, I'm not coloring the same amount. Look here, we use the line to show. What we need to color, we have to have Savannah and Isabel the same amount. Maybe if Isabel, yes, if Isabel has 4 out of 8, it's gonna be equivalent. Look here, it's gonna be the same. But she has less. She only has 3 out of 8 of jars of ribbon. So we see they are not equivalent fractions. Questions?
No.
Nope.
I finished.
Hmm? Thank you, Lucia. So don't forget, in fraction, it has 2 parts. Part number 1, like this, 3 out of 8. I'm going to write here. You don't have to copy this. 3 out of 8, for example. We have a number that is the up, that is the numerator. And the number that is down is the denominator. It's the number that is down. So the numerator that is up is gonna tell me how many parts I'm gonna take. Denominator 8, it means that I'm going to divide this rectangle into 8 equal parts. I have equal parts, I have 8 equal parts here. The numerator, that is the number that is up, tell me how many parts I'm gonna take or I'm gonna color. I just need to color 3, 1, 2, and 3, because denominator, numerator, it's telling me that just 3 I need to use. I need to use just 1, 2, and 3 of these 8 parts that I have. In this case, I have 1 and 2 out of 4 because the numerator tells me just take 2 of the 4 parts that you have and just color these 2. And we use the fractions also to compare if they have the same amount. You see, they don't have the same amount as the previous exercise. In this, Isabel has less than Savannah. But in the previous page, in the previous exercises, we identify equivalent fractions that they have the same amount, even though they have different representation of the fraction, they have the same amount if you use a model to show it. Now, I'm going to take attendance class. I'm going to take the attendance, say present if you're connected. Ana, Andrea, and Camila.
Present.
Present.
Ana Flores. No. Gabriela, Isabel, and Kiara.
Present.
Okay. Lucia, Mia, and Rebecca.
Present.
Nia Valentina. No. Rosa, Valerie, and Sian.
Present. Present.
Okay, Sian is not here. Alberto, Dani, and Fernando.
Present. Present.
Hermes, Joshua, and Caleb.
Present.
Present.
Marcelo, Santiago Hernández, and Santiago Chávez.
Present.
Santiago Hernández, Fiallos? No. Okay, class, remember math, we don't have homework. So we're finished with this today. You can disconnect. Show me your book. And now you can disconnect. We're finished.
So
Bye.
this we're not gonna upload it to Schoology.
No, you don't have to upload it. You don't have to upload it. Thank you,
Okay.
Rosa. Thank
Sure.
you. Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye, miss.
Bye-bye, bye-bye.